My dad was shot multiple times, been locked up, and he was like, I need to get my kids up out of here. So my mom allowed him to take us. And I was angry at the time because I didn't know the reason. You know, when you get snatched from your parent, they don't tell you why. They just say, we get in this car, we got in this car, and we drove down to Charlotte, North Carolina. There's so much trauma back in Philadelphia. You talking about the third, from what I know from data, it's like the third poorest major city. So you're dealing with a lot in proximity.
Hey, what's up, man? It's your boy, Coach Crump, on the Boy Man King podcast with my man, 100 Grand Chizzy.
You already know.
What you do, family?
What's going on, man? It's good seeing you. I feel like I ain't seen you in a long time.
I know, man. It's been a minute, but I'm grateful and blessed to see you, my good brother, because we're here with the man, the myth, the legend himself, Nafis the Beast.
Nafis the Beast.
Appreciate it, man.
Phillies in the building.
Appreciate you
man.
having me.
Yes, sir.
Man, so talk about, first of all, you know, this unique connection we all have with basketball.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where everybody kind of gets this experience with me. Well, we meet on the court, I'm cooking everybody, and then after we win, we go and have a conversation. And Nafis was one of those situations where, again...
Was he cooking though when he was he?
He was the go-to guy for sure.
He was the go-to guy?
Yeah, for sure.
I wish you wouldn't have said that. I wish you wouldn't have said that.
Gotta be real.
This is a thank you. This been going on for 30 years. This is the same thing for 30 years. We're talking about since '83. So the point I'm making is we have a conversation as men. We talk, and I'm like, man, the man you are, the work you're doing, the grind you're on, the father you are, the respect level just completely left the court. Yeah. When I was just like, yo, we got to get this guy on the pod, man, because then I followed the work you're doing on the gram, and you just recently did a TED Talk, man. And I think you did it in your hometown?
No, so that was a couple years ago. So for me, the TED Talk was in Columbia, Missouri. It was when I was a graduate assistant. And for me, I didn't like seeing myself on camera. Yeah. So it took me this long to post the clips and everything. I never even posted a link.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was one of those things. I hated seeing myself on camera, but I know the message needed to be out there.
Sure.
Well, but thank you for sharing the message. Thank you for sharing the work. Man, what I love about what you're doing is in the mental health space. Kind of like take us, what led you to have this passion to get multiple degrees, stay focused, move to another city to get this, you're trying to get your PhD, correct?
Yeah, in counseling psychology.
Yeah. So what drives that, man?
Man, I think what drives it just being from Philly. Like, I mean, I was raised partially in Charlotte, North Carolina with my pop and my little brother and my grandfather, and then moved back to Philly. And I think when you see the environment, it's like, what am I going back to? And I think I use sport as a vehicle to get me where I'm going. Like I said, I never even knew no doctors from my neighborhood. So for me, it was like, how can I still be me? Meaning like as an athlete in my head and still operate like that, but nobody can tell me how to do my job. And I think that would lead me to my own mental health struggles growing up in Philly, being inundated with so much gun violence, just violence in general, that I knew it wasn't normal. You know, as an athlete, you get to move around, you get privileges. But I also was facing that survivor's guilt of not being able to bring everybody with me, to enjoy these experiences. So for me, it's like I see so many guys now that, you know, in hooping, you know, after you finish hooping, you had those conversations like me and you have, and you start really diving in like, yo, how you doing? Man, I'm messed up. I ain't hooping no more. You know, those guys don't know how to bounce back. And for me, I wasn't going back home to Philly with nothing. So it was kind of like, how can I address my needs of mental health, but also help my brothers and sisters out, and also really my family. So it was like kind of like in a selfish way what led me to this point, but I think it made sense for me.
Okay. So we're gonna take our viewers on a journey from when you was a kid growing up, North Carolina. My apologies for North Carolina, living with dad. So you were born in Philly?
Born in Philly.
Moved to North Carolina.
Yep.
What prompted the move to North Carolina, if you don't mind me asking?
My dad was a hustler.
Okay.
My dad was a hustler, like the black story, but my pop was always a guy of integrity and character. And he said, the one thing he told us, that I'm not going to have my kids be in this environment. My dad was shot multiple times, been locked up, and he was like, I need to get my kids up out of here. So my mom allowed him to take us, first grade, and I was angry at the time because I didn't know the reason. You know, when you get snatched from your parent, they don't tell you why. They just say, we got in this car, and we drove down to Charlotte, North Carolina.
Right.
Wow, so you drove down to Charlotte, North Carolina in first grade, and your mom stayed back in Philly?
Yeah, with my older brother.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
What was that like? What was that separation like from mom though?
It was, I can imagine it being a parent now. It was hard because you got two young kids that, we ain't even developed yet. We 6, 7 years old.
I was gonna say, 6, 7.
And we in a whole new environment. So, I go from predominantly black predominantly black schools. Now I go to Charlotte, North Carolina. I got Hispanics, white, Asian. You got the whole gamut. But the schools are spread out. They're not built up like prisons.
Right.
So for me, that was a shell shock.
Okay. And so did mom ever come down to North Carolina?
Yeah. Mom came to visit multiple times while we was down there to come see us and stuff. And she knew that my pop was a stand-up guy, and that's the reason why she allowed me, me and my little brother to move with my father and my grandfather.
Okay, so
And before you go there, Chizzy, like, so I was only raised in the South. Mm-hmm. So when you say the schools wasn't like prisons they were spread out. Cause I'm thinking like all schools are spread out, but you're saying it was just straight up.
Yeah, like schools in Philadelphia is built straight up like you go into a prison. Like, so I got to go through a metal detector before you go. Like even at elementary school, we going through metal detectors. And when I went down to North Carolina, it was like the schools were spread out. Like we could move, it was freely moving the building. Like all the buildings were big and so I'm like, man, what's going on? I never been in it, and you can move freely. It ain't no metal detectors. You walking on campus, you just walking through the door. Yeah. So that was a shock for me.
Wow.
So is that? So of course, you're obviously a grown man. Is that an adult perspective reflecting on what you experienced back then? Or you can remember as a kid, this is not normal. I feel like I'm in a prison. And then I go to North Carolina, and this is like all right, I have a little bit more breathing room. You can remember that vividly.
Yeah, I can remember it vividly because of, it's so much trauma back in Philadelphia. You talking about the third, from what I know from data, it's like the third poorest major city. So you're dealing with a lot in proximity. In North Carolina, like you said, I had a breath of fresh air, but I was still uncomfortable because I never seen green grass. Like when you go in my front yard, it's the steps and going right into my crib back in Philadelphia. So it was totally different.
Wow.
Yeah. What was it like? I know for me, when you were like inundated with black culture and you first experienced other culture, were you that like shy, wait, see, like who can I talk to? Who's safe to talk to? Was that your energy?
I was angry. I was still like pissed that we moved. Like I'll move away from my mom. Like at that point I don't even really know her like that. Like I know her to a standpoint, but then I'm like, she's 100,000 miles away. I'm still resenting my pop. Or what have you. So for me, of course I'm being in shit. I used to get in trouble all the time. I'm getting sent to the office. I want to fight because I was angry because of how the move happened. Right. With no reasoning behind it or whatever.
Well, no reason that it was a reason.
But I just didn't know.
But you didn't know.
You don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. You're just in your feeling. You want what you want, and children just want what they want.
I want mom and dad together, essentially.
For sure.
So how long you was in Charlotte?
So we moved. So I was in the second grade. I think I was in the first grade. I had repeated because of the rigor. When I passed the grade, my pop didn't think I was ready. So I'd say first grade, and then I went all the way up to 10th grade of January. And the reason why I went to 10th grade January, my older brother was murdered when I was in the 8th grade when we was living in Charlotte, and he was living with my mom. So I was 14 and he was 19. And after them 2 years from going through that, I could tell my mom was really like going through it. And for me, that was like, yo, it's time to go back. I told my pop, like, we got to go back because my mom's struggling by herself, like just mentally and, emotionally. And it's like, she got 2 more sons, but that took a toll. And I was ready to go back. I'm like, man, I'm ready to get up out of this country town, to be honest. And at the time, the school I went to, Independence High School, was a powerhouse football team. I didn't play my first 2 years in high school. And I was like, listen, when I go back, I'm going to do something. I ain't no drug dealer. I ain't no gangster, but it's time to go back with my mom.
So you mentioned your brother getting murdered. You guys are 4 or 5 years apart. Mm-hmm. What was going on socially? Like, what were the circumstances? What was going on, with your brother, with you? What were you experiencing socially? Because I'm thinking if you're coming from Philly, you're seeing a lot already. Philly is it's condensed. It's black dominated. Yeah. Everything that you could think of from a street level could happen in Philly. Absolutely. I'm pretty sure you're not anticipating coming to North Carolina and saying, "Oh my goodness, like I'm having a different experience, not better or worse." Yeah. You know what I'm saying? What were you experiencing socially back then?
So socially, being in North Carolina had opened my eyes up to like diversity, and meaning like it was more out there. So when I was in Charlotte, I played every sport because I was angry once again at my pop.
Okay.
Because it was a lot of tough love. And my grandfather, they showed me how to be a man.
Right.
But I didn't have that loving part because I wasn't around a woman. It showed me like bringing women flowers.
Yeah.
I always know how to be respectful. That nurturing part. So I played every sport, ran track, played football, swimming, tennis. Like I was doing all those because I was masking the hurt that I was feeling until I got back to Philly. I was really hurt because, you know, my brother got murdered in the middle of the street at 9 a.m. in the morning on October 18, 2001. I can vividly remember and getting that phone call from my mom at 9 a.m. and I'm in school at that time.
Okay.
And they called me on the speaker and my pop just break down crying. And mind you, my pop is not my dad's pop. So
so your brother's in Philly.
Yeah, my brother's in Philly.
Okay.
And me and my younger brother is in North Carolina.
Okay.
What have you.
Okay.
So, you know, that took a toll on me as a human being because, once again, I didn't get to really be around my brother. Like, they'll fly down, but it ain't the same.
Different.
Like, me and my little brother, we thick as thieves.
Sure.
Because we've been with each other.
Together,
but my mom and my oldest brother, it was kind of like a disconnect because of distance.
Right. My goodness, that's a lot to process for a younger person. The anger of coming down.
So you moved to Florida. Moved back to Philly.
Yep.
And you with your moms now.
Yeah.
But you're in a space of like, I'm 16 years old. You're a sophomore, junior.
Sophomore January.
Yeah. So you're a sophomore, and you're thinking about, yes, I'm angry, but I also want to be here for moms.
Yeah.
So how does that play out?
Yeah. So I get back to Philly, and I'm wearing Jabot jeans in Charlotte, North Carolina.
You got bullied or not? Like, cause the swag is different.
The swag is different. So I'm like a hybrid. I really don't fit in Philly. I really don't fit in Charlotte.
Okay.
Did you come straight back and put on Timberlands?
Oh, so this one I'm gonna show you. So I went Jabot jeans. So we wore that. But my neighborhood, like my brother, we from a neighborhood that everybody knows, my family and stuff like that. So it was easy to get in. But to assimilate to the culture of Philadelphia, so I went from Jabot jeans to wearing state property.
Yeah.
So because we had to wear uniforms. In Charlotte, I ain't had to wear no uniform. I'm wearing whatever I want to wear.
Right.
So when I come back to Philly, I got to go with my Timbs. I got to get my state property gear. Right. So I'm like, yo, this is wild. Like I ain't never. And the girls look like grown women. My mom let me drive her car, no license, 16 years old.
Okay.
I hoop. They ain't never seen me before. They knew who some of the people, because I didn't go to the neighborhood school. So when I'm going in there, I'm hooping in my Timbs, I'm dunking and everything. Mind you, that's why I said that athletic part in Charlotte helped me because I did every sport. I wasn't contained just to basketball and play on the blacktop.
So that was your end when you go back to Philly.
Yeah, I was. Okay.
Once you could hoop, it crossed
your brotherhood
all lines.
just gets you in.
Trust me, 30 countries, bro. Once you could hoop, what's up, bro? Let me all
we brothers now.
But it was definitely an adjustment because those girls at the high school was like grown women. Like they was getting their nails, they was leaving school early, getting their hair done. It's grown men standing at the school waiting for them. I'm like, yo, I ride the cheese bus back in Charlotte, North Carolina. Like I wasn't no dudes doing that. So I just think the whole experience of going back and how hood it was. Like I didn't realize how much violence, because like just growing up in Philly, I probably lost over 100 friends that I grew up with. From the time I moved back, probably 100 dudes that I like literally from that point on is gone to today. And I can, if I, a lot of us get tattoos, and if I would have filled my whole body would have been filled up by now.
Right.
Wow. So you seem to have it all together, but I know you're in the mental health space, but a lot of this seems like it's a natural progression for you to go the career path that you're taking as a mental strategist, as a mental coach. Like, have you had to learn some tricks to help you cope with all of the death and the hood and the change about even your own brother? Have you grieved?
I'm still grieving to this day. I don't think I'll never stop. Like I said, like being in this position now, going after a PhD, I think I'm still going through it every day because I feel like I made it, but I didn't make anything because I couldn't bring the people with me. And every time I get a phone call, I got 2 phones, and I cut one off because I'm scared to get that phone call at 12 a.m. or 1 a.m. and saying somebody got killed.
Because it happens so much,
and you become numb. You become used to it. And I know, like, after a while, like, I can't even cry because it's like, what can I do about it? Like, since I've been talking about mental health all the time, so many people hit me up. Yo, I just lost my cousin. I just lost my brother or whatever. So for me, it's just like, my feet are stuck in mud. And I don't know how to get out of it.
So you're currently grieving people are hitting you up because you say you're a mental strategist and a mental health coach who need to grieve, and you haven't grieved, and you're helping them grieve, and you're still concerned about a call that you could get because you got so many, over 100 in your past. Like, it's like a constant, living in a constant conundrum, sound like. Right. And that's like the space you're in right now.
Yeah.
How are you handling? What are you doing for your own self-help? What are you doing for your own, well-being? Because as we know, as service providers, as mental health, if you work in that space, it could be a lot of transference. From the people that you service, and I say we loosely because I somewhat dabble in that space, and with the work that we did, at the gang level, it's important for you to have time, for you to have outlets, for you to actually do professional supervision so that you can get those things on. How are you addressing your own mental health needs?
Yeah, so I've been in therapy for 15 years, and I do self-care is the buzzword, but I do a lot of groups, Black men particularly, to help be preventative instead of reactive. Yeah. And once I get into that space, I'm more of releasing because I see other Black men like me. Yeah. I also travel a lot. Since I moved down here, I've been hiking. It's been just, it's just so many different things that I do. Like I said, I journal. I'm really trying to incorporate in music.
How often do you journal?
Oh, every day. I think it's just a routine of who I am as a person, whether I use it through my phone or I just journal in a notepad. So I'm gonna write. I'm gonna use my journal as a book.
Sure. And you say music?
Yeah, I want to incorporate music in my practice whenever I get licensed as a therapist, to let people pick a song on how they feeling.
Right.
And then we're going to play it off of that, and we're going to jump into therapy like that.
Yeah, you did tell me about that, about hooping it, and we know the polarizing effect that music have in our culture. Do you, on the flip side, like study or know how music affects people on the preventative to even get them into the mental spaces that they're in? Like, do you talk to on the mental strategist side, do you talk to your clients about people that's in our cultures, particularly as Black men or brown men, of dealing with like, hey, what music are you listening to? Because that kind of affects how you mentally process as well.
Yeah. So I don't do no clinical work with people right now in that space, simply because I want to respect the boundary of like the profession. I'm still an intern right now, so getting the skills. What I'm trying to really do is perfect what I'm learning about music and how it enters your body unconsciously and bring it to the table. So now when I bring it to the table, I'm a professional in the sense of how to enter those conversations. So now most of the guys, they don't even talk about it. They just want to exhaust because they see somebody who looks like them. Yeah. That's how I present myself. I'm using my real scenario to break down what I may go through. And it may be parallels that we might, or some synergy that we might have that we can just talk about it. But we haven't really, the young guys, they open up initially because once I start talking about myself, I give them a little bit, then that's when the conversation continues to go.
It's important, especially for our communities, because there's already taboo. It's already taboo to go and seek mental health counseling as a Black man. So to your point and to your credit, to be able to be presentable in a way that's relatable is huge in the work that you're endeavoring to do. Because originally people make assessments just based off of how you present. So if you walk in a suit, you can have the exact same conversation. You could be an exact same PhD level individual. But when you come in a suit versus when you come in some J's and a hoodie and some sweatpants, people are going to receive you different. Absolutely. Sometimes to your detriment, sometimes to your benefit. But especially for the work that you're endeavoring to do, to support Black men and the development, the social, emotional, and mental space of a Black man, I think that's a critical piece that we undervalue. To speak, what is your why? We kind of know what your why is, but how would you articulate your why at this point in your life, as a professional, as a hooper? You can do anything. Just talking to you in these last few minutes, I can tell that you have the capacity to work in any field. What is your why? What motivates you today?
Man, great question. I think my why is just my community. I think when the stereotypes and the things they say about Black existence, I feel like my pop and my grandfather instilled so much into me, knowing who you are as yourself. And I'm willing to die for who I am as a Black man. Yeah. I know we've been through a lot of pain, a lot of struggle. And for me, to be honest with you, my why is just, I want to change what's going on. Sure. I think in order to make change, you have to be able to model the behavior you want other people to do. And I think the way I present, but not even present with the knowledge that I have, I don't wave my degrees around like they trophies.
Right.
For me, it's not about the degrees. It's about pushing myself and stretching my thinking to be able to go back in the community to tell, like, hey, you might be going through this, but I'm going to spin it in a way where you can receive it.
Right. Yeah.
If I give you the clinical terms, you may not, like, what are you talking about?
Right.
I need to give you a scenario where you feel comfortable. So now when you're talking about some of your deepest, darkest things, it's just the first time you're talking, but you trust me.
Sure.
I always want to provide some rapport, but safety.
Yeah.
I mean, when you talking about black men, and I'm not just stuck to black men, but I'm looking at black men because I'm looking at myself.
Yeah.
So when I see you, and I see you, and I see other black men, I'm like, that's me.
Sure.
When they judge me, they judging you.
Sure.
So I want to continue to, pour into people, but also, do something that they don't see us in.
Wow. So tell us about being a girl dad, man.
Ooh, man. Man, my daughter's 12. Zoe, man, it's actually every day that I think about my life, it's no manuscript to raise a kid. So right now, in these ages of the tweens, I guess you would call it, like almost 13 and stuff. She just turned 12, January 31st. I'm so elated because I never thought I'd have somebody who looks like me, but also has my thought pattern at times, or she may make a mannerism. I'm like, that was me when I was a kid. So for me, I just enjoy the journey of watching her growth and development because, like, at the end of the day, it's so much exposure out here. You just got to educate. Yeah. Like, it's like I'm not there. We at a distance. So she's in Philly and I fly back every month. I try to the best as I can. I haven't been there as of late, but I try to fly back as much as possible so she can see me. Yeah. But we're doing FaceTime every day, letting her know, like, yo, like, you are special, and validating her every day because of, for me, a woman needs their father, for sure.
Facts.
Yeah, my daughter, man, that's a special part of my heart. I know your baby girl's a special part of your heart. My daughter's with a friend. She's 16, and I love my Jada bit, and she's a child that everything she does is either her mom or her dad. Mm-hmm. Like, sometimes CJ does stuff. I'm like, whose child is this? You know what I'm saying? I was like, bro, like, I don't know what genes. I have to start going back to 3 generations of grandparents. I'm like, which one of y'all was crazy?
Right.
But with my daughter, everything she does is either her mom and dad. But it's like, I can't deny the special bond we have. She was my firstborn. She's my daughter. She's she acts like me. She takes initiative. She's always confident. She's always risk taking. And I'm struggling with her growing up. I'm fundamentally not smooth with it. It's not coming to me. And my wife like, Chris, you're just too much sometimes. I say, oh, okay, but it's out of love. I am too much, but it's out of love. And so today, this weekend, her friend's going to Asheville, North Carolina to college visit. But it's a really good friend. So she got friends that's seniors in high school, trying to pick a school. But I'm like, you got to go the whole weekend. Like,
you were struggling with her good.
Bruh. So the mama knew. The mama had to send us the information to come by the house.
Yeah.
Let me look at everybody in the car.
But that's safe, though. There's a safe boundaries to have and expectations to have. I get it.
And I'm stopping to be apologetic. I said, Jada, I tell Jada all that, you know how your daddy is. I'm crazy. Yeah. So don't put me in compromising situations. You have a dad that really, really cares about you. I can't speak for everybody else. Yeah. So when I need text at a certain time at night, you don't give me the text. Yeah, it's a game over. Like game over. So help your dad. To keep it together because but it's like I can't just tell her. I gotta have conversations with her. You know what I'm saying? But she appreciates the fact that I'm like having a conversation, but she's like, Dad, all of my seniors for spring break coming up, right? So these are things you guys got. Spring break coming up. They graduate, and my friends graduate. We want to go to Panama City Beach together. I said, but we got a family. Jada, we do a family spring break. I only got 2 more spring breaks with you for the rest of my life. And I said, well, I guess the family's going to Panama City Beach. Because I said,
what's she say about that? How she feel about that?
So we just working out the logistics of it. But we're going.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, because I got to compromise, right? But it's like, I can't send you to no spring break beach by yourself, girl. Daddy's not there. But I can't stop you from
having
your
experiences for sure.
So
for sure,
I'm gonna get rent an SUV, and we're gonna be in Panama City Beach for the break.
I mean, as you know, like you said, parenting is the most difficult, probably the most difficult job. There's no manual. I have a 16-year-old as well. It's a marathon, not a sprint. But all we can really do is, like you said, is be consistent with our message, be consistent in how we show up and how we present to the world, how we present to them, and know and hope, because they're gonna make decisions, they're gonna make choices. It's never gonna be perfect. They're gonna mess up. But all we can really do is really, really just hope that the values that you instill in them from young will translate to the choices that they make. That's all you can really do. And as much as we try to be, let me make sure you gonna bang your head against the wall for a long time. Really, really, really just trying to control those pieces. But I try. I know you. I know Jada. She's gonna be all right. Bro.
Yeah, I know.
She's gonna be all right.
But it don't change the fact that it's not.
It don't.
But I salute you, brothers, because let me tell you why I salute you, brothers, because you guys don't have the traditional situation like myself, married, everybody in the same house, and so to see brothers travel back and forth to cities and to countries just to make sure that in their child's life, like I can't even respect the man that's not fighting to be in their kid's life on a regular basis.
And the funny thing is, people look at you like you're strange. What do you mean you're moving to where your kids are? What do you mean you're traveling? Every trip that I make outside of coming on here, my son was in school in Atlanta. Every trip when I was living in Bermuda, I moved back to Canada in July of last year. But every trip when I was living in Bermuda for 5 years, when I left to come back, every trip was coming to Canada to see my children. And I'm talking about like you, every 2 months, calling every day, FaceTime, right, and trying to be there. But as you would imagine, nothing can substitute physically being there.
Absolutely.
And as much as we try, and as much as we try to be there through all of the platforms there are, right, nothing compares to that physical interaction. But I also recognize that some of these sacrifices that I make ultimately are going to benefit my children and benefit my daughter.
Absolutely.
So I know exactly where you're coming from when it comes to that distance parenting. And sometimes the guilt that comes in distance parenting, that's something that's not discussed as well. The guilt parenting.
So you talk about it.
So for me, the guilt parenting sometimes looks like, we have boundaries. I know how I grew up as a father. My mother and father have been married, and I still married 50 plus years. And I know the boundaries that my dad has. But sometimes guilt parenting looks like a yes, a more easier yes than a hard no, because you know that the distance is there. You know that there's some things that you haven't experienced with her, and you don't want to be the bad guy because you feel like if you're a bad guy from a distance, you can't really just spend time with her and look her in the eye and say, baby, it's going to be all right. I'm here for you. You have to really, really navigate that whole guilt parenting mindset that says that I want to say yes, I want to say no, I want to be a strong dad, I want to support her, but I also know that the truth is I'm not there.
Right.
And I know you can speak to this. Man, I know it's not just me.
Man, you brought something up, man. First, I want to say thank you for bringing that up. I mean, I think I deal with it every day. Yeah. Just, my daughter's in a city where, I done lost a lot of friends. Yeah. And I can't control the outcome of what's going on.
Exactly.
So like I said, I'm always on the go. Like my phone ring, or if it don't ring, I'm praying like every day. But that guilt is definitely there, because even in this journey, like I have sacrificed like myself and my relationship with my daughter to go to school, to get a doctor. I've been in college like over 12 years. Sure. I'm still continuing, and that takes away from her. Yep. And for me, I feel like this: you got to take care of yourself first, no matter what. Like I don't want her to be me. Yeah. She don't want to be an athlete. She don't want to be there. I want to be there to support what she got going on. Man, even me and her mother, we don't have the greatest relationship. We cordial, but even that, the kids suffer.
Yeah, of course.
The kids suffer, and for me as a man, that's like, whatever we give off, she gonna interpret on what she see. And like you said, like it's certain things when she comes for the summer with me for 3 months, me and my fiance. Yeah. So then what she learned back in Philly is different when she comes here. Yeah. So now it's like certain things I may not agree with. We got to have a real conversation about But I'm never gonna step on your mom's toes because what she do in her household is what she do, unless it's into the detriment that I feel. And we got to have a conversation about that. But when she with me, I try to provide an experience, but I'm not trying to buy your love.
Right.
I'm never gonna be that parent. So if I don't buy you this or celebrate, I'm not a big holiday person because I felt like when I was living with my father, my mom used to buy us a lot of gifts. I didn't care about no gifts at the time. Of course, I want the new Jordans and stuff I want the love. I want the love and the time. And for me, I want the love and the time with my daughter. So even we go into the store, we laugh, we go to the pool. I'm good with that. Now she may say like that, you don't buy me nothing. It's like, yo, you know what? I know what that don't mean nothing. That's not longevity. And maybe you may value that, but I'm here to teach you that. That's not long withstanding.
And trust the process. Trust that dad knows, long term what's beneficial for a young lady. Because make no mistake about it, as we know, what we're trying to do is what we're trying to encourage for our young ladies, because there's a whole variable, there's a whole part that we haven't discussed for men is obviously our significant others. Yeah. And how does a woman learn to love a man is through the first relationship she has with her father. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So if a daughter can revere her father and love her father and get that nurturing from her father, you be like that girl speaks volumes to how that translates into their own intimate relationships. And some of us around the table can speak to the challenges we have with exes, with ex-wives, in my case, ex-wife, and how that plays out day to day. And the women that you even choose to have in your life. So me as a man, so part of my journey was learning how to reshape what I seem to be valuable and important from a values perspective in the partners that I want to choose in the future. Because when you're young, you want this arm candy. And when you become older, when you become a little more conscious of self, you recognize that her face is not going to raise your child. You know what I'm saying? Her values and her principles, her spirituality, the love she has for you, the respect she has for you is ultimately how you're going to nurture your relationship, not just with the two of you, but with your kids as well, man. So those
but
nuggets,
the face still matters though. Like you know what I mean?
No, of course. Yeah. You like what you like. You know what I'm saying? You like what you like. But at the end of the day, we ain't gonna be young forever. Like, when you get older, gray and 50,
be talking to you sideways, girl. But man, I wanna say thank you guys for bringing up the guilt parenting piece because it must take a hit, and I want you to speak to this before we close out, man. It must be challenging. You've been a mental health coach. Your daughter's in another city. You love being a dad. You love your community. You love your culture. You want to give back. You want to be that example. At the same time, you're managing your commitments. You're managing yourself. You're still grieving. You're managing raising a daughter. You're managing building now with your fiance. Like, you got to feel torn that some spaces or some people are not getting, because I don't have that. I'm bringing this up because all the people that matter to me is in this house.
Sure.
I give everybody else what I got left. But for you guys, it's like everybody's in a different house. So it got to be feeling like sometimes even when you're sitting in the house by yourself, you're thinking sometimes, man, I probably. You know what I mean? Like, is that kind of going on? Is those gymnastics in your head kind of like?
Yeah, and they are for me. I'll let you speak to it.
Yeah. I think you hit it right on. It's once again that survivor's guilt of not being there. I couldn't bring everybody, especially my child. I'm pouring into so many people, and I don't know. I ain't share this with y'all, but I was diagnosed with depression, anxiety, PTSD, and a learning disability, dyslexia. So I'm fighting with all of that every day. Like, so just imagine I'm leaving my house. I feel like I'm getting murdered from the classroom because of these predominantly white spaces, and not feeling good enough because it's only one of me, black guy from the inner city of Philadelphia. And then when I'm thinking about calling home, it's people being murdered in the street, and I'm not there to be there for my daughter on a day-to-day basis. Absolutely, I'm battling that every day. I'm just trying to stay sane, to be honest. And like for me, it's like, wow, I want my daughter to experience what I do, but I want her to feel good about, like, that's my father, because that's how I feel about my father. Like, I feel good talking about my pop. Like, I was raised with my pop. I know a lot of my friends wasn't raised by their father and things of that nature, but I battle that every day. Like, sometimes I feel like, is it worth it? Like, I sacrifice so much, and I'm not even I'm not physically there for my child on a day to day. And I gotta applaud her mom for taking on that lead or whatever. And like I said, as time grows and hopefully she understands, my daughter understands that, yo, I made this sacrifice not only for you, I made it for myself so I can provide a situation so you can see it. Because you might, if I get a business, you might not be qualified to run this business.
Right.
I just want you to see how I was able to move and say we come from the same environment.
Because it makes more sense when you say you got to take care of you first, even if you have children, if you're battling PTSD and depression and all of these things.
You're not good to nobody if you can't take care of yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it sounds selfish, but it's necessary. It's unnecessary. So there's a healthy level of selfishness that's necessary.
Absolutely.
When you're going through what you're going through, and your situation, my situation, you have to, you got to identify self first, because whatever you put in, good and bad, they're gonna benefit or not benefit from, depending on how you look at it. You know what I mean? So you got to take care of yourself first.
Absolutely.
100%.
What is it that you want to leave the people about sharing your platform, the work you're showing online, the goal you have for your PhD? Like, what do you want to leave the people with today?
So I just want to leave them like an opportunity to. I want people out there to hold space for other people and not judge other people based on perception. I think a lot of times we get in trouble by headlines and clips. In order to heal a community, you have to put yourself in that person's shoes. And I definitely want to leave that with people, because I think so many people are broken with followers and likes and, perception of who they think they should be and comparing themselves to the world. And I said, your race is go at your own pace at your own race. So I will leave that for the people.
Yeah, man. What's your takeaway for this segment, Chizzy?
Geez, so many takeaways, man. I wish we could talk for hours and hours, because I could see it. Because similarly, when you have a passion for supporting people that look like you, you know what I mean. I can see where you're going with it. I can see the end result of the work that you're putting in and the work. So the takeaway is, man, just continue to be open to a shift, especially for brothers that look like us. The shift is necessary, because you can only get so far being boxed in to your immediate environment. Once you start to step outside of that, and you can recognize that a shift is possible because you have brothers doing a lot of great work, then the sky's the limit, man. So just be open for the shift.
Yeah, man. This it's been interesting, the recent takes we've been doing. They all have their own like specialized topic that we're talking about. The mental health. And I'm grateful you guys share, the guilt parenting, the constant gymnastics that you're battling it even in real time. And I think what's obvious is that mental health matters, and you need to get help and support in some kind of way. Like, I have a therapist, I have a marriage coach, I have a men's group that is part of my lifestyle. Yeah. Like, it's not even like, hey, I wait to see something happens. And one thing my coach checked me with, and I was complaining about something that my wife did. And he was like, Chris, the problem with the dynamics of our relationship, and you say you want to get coached in this area, you only receive my sessions when you have a problem. And you got to take the sessions before a problem happens so you could be better equipped and better prepared. And I say that just to anybody. You're trying to be an entrepreneur. You're trying to be a dad. You're trying to be a husband. Take the sessions before.
Be proactive.
Like, get the reps in, get an understanding so that when the moment arrives, you're prepared for it. Right. You know what I mean? So, man, another great episode of the Boy Man King podcast, man. Make sure you like and subscribe our YouTube page, man, and also follow us on IG. Man, share this with a man that needs help, that needs support, and share it with a woman who needs to learn more about men becoming kings. Man, we see y'all on the next one. Boy Man King, the journey continues. We out. Blessings.